Hey guys, I'm Ryan Engler alongside Jake Mastbaum and Sam Aleinikoff. We're here in the Slope Studios. Last weekend, a big weekend for Cornell basketball. On Friday night, notching the victory over Penn. This was a game in which they had a big lead, lost the lead, almost won the game at the buzzer, and then still managed to pull it out in overtime against a quality opponent. So that was very nice to see. Saturday night, playing Princeton, the top team in the league, had the lead late, fell short, lost by 2 points, but nonetheless a very, very strong showing for the Big Red this weekend at home. This coming weekend, we got 2 more home games, Friday night against Harvard, Saturday night against Dartmouth. Starting with Friday's game against Harvard, a little bit of a chance for redemption for the Big Red, losing by 20 a couple of weeks ago at Cambridge. What's it going to take for a Big Red victory on Friday this week?
I think when you look at these two teams, the big thing that I look at since in those past 3 weeks is that Cornell's established rotation. The last 4 games, Cornell's played the exact same 12 guys, the same 5 starters for Bill Courtney's squad, whereas 2 weeks ago, Cornell hadn't played the same 12 players or the same roster in back-to-back games all year. So I think what that does, and we've heard it from the entire Cornell roster, and mostly Chris Robleski, and I talking to him after the games last weekend, is that it kind of gives them some sort of offensive rhythm. It gives them some cohesion as a group, and I think that's huge. The other thing that you've seen from Cornell in the last 3 weeks since they played Harvard was the emergence of some post play for Cornell. 3 of the last 4 games, they've got a double-digit scorer in the post, namely Mark Curry twice, Eitan Chemerinsky once. Chemerinsky's kind of made a name for himself, a Newman Nation favorite the past couple games. Even though he didn't score and didn't have a great game against Princeton, came out strong against Penn. So I think those kind of factors are going to help Cornell to limit Wright and limit Casey more than they were able to the last week around. Another factor last weekend, Oliver McNally went down for Harvard. He had 7 assists last time Cornell played in Cambridge, so he was a big factor in that game. He went down with an ankle injury, was in a boot for the second half against Brown on the bench, and it's yet to be known whether or not he'll play. So that combined with Cornell's emergence and kind of Harvard, who has stumbled a little bit, had to pull out only a 3-point victory at home against rival Yale, and then they were down 22 at one point in the second half before coming back to win that against Brown. We've seen these two teams kind of both settle a little bit more towards the middle of the Ivy League. Obviously, Harvard's still only with 1 loss in the Ivy League. They're the number 2 team in the league. Cornell, only with 2 Ivy League wins, is still towards the bottom, but both these teams are kind of evening out, and I expect a much closer game than we saw last time around. At home, I would not be surprised if Cornell was able to come away with a victory.
And Sam, with Harvard being the first game of the weekend, I'm very, very interested to see how Drew Ferry and Max Grove respond in that game. Both guys very crucial to Cornell's success, but against Princeton, the Saturday night game last week, they combined for 0 of 9 from the field, and if Cornell's going to win, they're going to have to hit shots. We've heard Coach Courtney say that time and time again, so Drew Ferry and Max Grove are going to have to respond positively.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing that you got to remember for Harvard is that they have to win these games. They have 1 loss in the Ivy League, obviously Princeton with none. All these games at this point are pretty much must-wins for the Crimson if they want to stay in this race, which they obviously are still in. And also, you have to remember, we mentioned this when we were talking about the first Harvard game. The last time Harvard came to Newman Arena, they got destroyed. They lost by 36 points, and I don't think that they've forgotten that yet. And I think that they want to come in here and win this game. So there's going to be extra motivation. It's Friday, which is the first day of travel, and Harvard's going to be very intent on coming in performing strongly. Obviously, with that being said, Cornell has played better of late and could definitely pull out a victory in this game.
I'm interested to see what the attendance is going to be like at home as well, with the Harvard hockey game on the same night in the same building, essentially, for Cornell.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see if the fans kind of start to respond after the momentum that the team picked up last weekend, if they can get a home court advantage.
Hopefully we'll see that. Saturday night, Cornell hosting the Big Green, Dartmouth. Obviously, this was a game that we thought Big Red had a chance to win when they went up to Hanover a couple of weeks ago. They fell short, really played a very lackluster game, not one of their best performances of the year. But Dartmouth is a team that Cornell is definitely capable of beating, and I would really hope that they would on Saturday. What's going to have to happen for them to pull out this victory that we all know and hope that they can do?
Well, this is a big statement game for the Big Red. When they played Dartmouth last weekend, there's really no way to sugarcoat that first half. It was the worst half of basketball I've ever seen in my 4 years at Cornell. The Big Red had 4 field goals, only scored 14 points, and shot 25% from the field. With that said, they did put together a very solid second half and made it a respectable showing on the scoreboard, if you want to look at it from that approach. But moving to this game, I think Mark Curry is going to play a big role in this one. Sam, you mentioned when you were talking about Harvard that the Cornell Bigs have scored in double figures in 3 of their last 4 games, and the emergence of Mark Curry has played a big role in that one. In the first game against Dartmouth, Curry only played 4 minutes, while the rest of the Cornell bigs went 0 of 6 from the field. So I think establishing Mark down low is going to play a big role in the outcome. Another player I want to talk about is Eric Peck. One matchup that Cornell could really exploit is Peck against David Ruffle. I don't think Ruffle is nearly athletic enough to guard Eric Peck. And if you remember the Dartmouth-Harvard weekend a few weekends ago, that was Eric Peck's flu weekend. Was only able to play 17 minutes in that game, but still very productive. He's fully healthy right now, and I think he's going to come out big. This is a game I think Cornell really needs for morale. Put this awful showing against Dartmouth a few weekends ago behind them, and I do expect them to come out motivated, and I do expect them to win this ball game.
Yeah, absolutely. Another big weekend for Cornell. Obviously, at this point, all the home games are very important in, keeping this morale up, keeping the positive trajectory that they've had over the past couple weeks going. And I think that that's something that we will see this week, and I certainly hope so, at least. Well, there you have it, guys. A look at this week's games Friday night against Harvard, Saturday night against Dartmouth. We're going to be covering both of those games, and you can also follow us on Twitter at SlopeCU Sports. Thanks for watching, guys.